Uh, Welcome you all for the new session where I will be dealing with interest formula for uniform gradient payments. Okay. In the last session, we discussed about interest formula for single payment and interest formula for equal payments. Here it is uniform gradient payment, just like if you take an example of a load, it's similar to uniform varying load here. Okay, there is a annuity A1 which is being paid at first period, and subsequently our annuity is increasing with some value G. It's an increment here. Okay, the objective of this mode of investment is to find the annual equivalent amount of a series with an amount A1 at the end of the first year. This is A1 at the end of the first year, and with an equal increment G at the end of each of the following subsequent n minus 1 years with an interest rate I compounded annually. So at the second period, it will be at the end of second period, your annuity will be A1 plus G. At third period, it is A1 plus 2G. Like this, at nth period, it will be A1 plus N minus 1G. So it's uniformly varying here. So that is why it is called uniform gradient payment series. Now here, if we want to derive the expression, then this has to be calculated. It is to be considered as a rectangle here with A1 value and then subsequent increase as a triangle. With that, it's possible to calculate the equivalent A, that is equivalent annuity. But here, let us not bother about the derivation. I'm just directly giving you a formula. Now, if this is my cash flow diagram, for every end of the year there's an increment in the annuity, then your equivalent annuity will be equals to A1 plus G multiplied by, and then numerator it is 1 plus I raised to n minus In minus 1 divided by I into 1 plus I raised to n minus 1. Okay, that's equals to A1 plus G, or function of A by G comma I comma n, whereas the this parenthesis, this is called as uniform gradient series factor. Now remember here in the typical cash flow diagram, your G is increasing. At the same time, your G may be decreasing here. Okay, I might be having E1 plus n minus 1 G here, and subsequently it may reduce like this. In that case, your G value here in the formula, I need to take it as minus G. That is the difference. So we go with the numerical here. A person is planning for his retired life. He has 10 more years of service. He would like to deposit 20% of his salary, which is rupees 4,000 at the end of the first year, and thereafter he wishes to deposit the amount with an annual increase of rupees 500 for the next 9 years with an interest rate of 15%. Find the total amount at the end of 10th year of the above series. Okay, so here he is asking you the future sum at the end of the 10th year, but there is an increase in the annuity. So first I'm supposed to calculate the equivalent annuity value. Before that, we'll just try to list out the given data. Here my A1 value is 4,000, G is rupees 500, and interest is 15%, N is 10 years. I'm supposed to calculate A, that is equivalent annuity, and then I'm supposed to calculate the future value because he's asking you the total amount at the end of the 10th year. Okay, so this is a typical cash flow diagram. Just repeat, for every numerical you have to show the cash flow diagram. Okay, this is a cash flow diagram. Now we have the formula for equivalent annuity as A is equals to A1 plus G into 1 plus I raised to n minus In minus 1 divided by 1 plus I raised to n minus 1. G is given, A1 is given, you know the value of I, you know the value of n. So substitute all the values here, then what we will be getting as an equivalent annuity as rupees 5,691.60 rupees. Okay. This is equivalent to paying an equivalent amount of rupees 5,691.60 at the end of every year for the next 10 years. This is equals to A now. Okay, this is equals to equivalent is it's being taken as this amount is being considered as annuity at the end of every period here. Okay, so this is my A value. Then the future work. So what I have now is I know the annuities. I know the annuities at the end of every period. Okay, then what will be the future sum? That is future value. So we know that future value is equals to it's a function of f by a comma I comma n. We have this formula. If you go back to the previous slides, we know this formula. So substitute these things in the expression, then we will be getting future sum as around 1,15,562.25 rupees. So at the end of the 10th year, the compound amount of all his payment will be rupees 1,15,562.25 rupees. Okay, now let us take an example where my G is decreasing, where I'm supposed to substitute G as minus. A person is planning for his retired life. He has 10 more years of service. He would like to deposit rupees 8,500 at the end of first year, and thereafter he wishes to deposit the amount with an annual decrease of rupees 500 for the next 9 years with an interest rate of 15%. Find the total amount at the end of the 10th year of the above series. So A1 is 8,500, G is minus 500, I, N they are given, and I'm supposed to calculate the equivalent annuity, and then I'm supposed to calculate the future value. So this is my cash flow diagram here. G is decreasing at the end of every period. So the formula is this. All the data are given. Substitute them. You will get equivalent annuity as rupees 6,808.40 rupees. This is equivalent to. This is an equivalent annuity which, like, if I could pay this amount every month, I will be getting the future value. But I'm not paying exactly this value. I'm decreasing the value here. Okay. So that's why I'm calculating the equivalent annuity. Once I could calculate this equivalent annuity, now I'm supposed to calculate the future value. We already have the relation between future value and the annuity. So substitute and all the given data are here. Substitute them in the expression, and you will be getting future value as rupees 1,38,237.75 rupees. So at the end of 10th year, the compound amount of all this payment is rupees 1,38,237.75 rupees. Next important concept is effective and nominal interest rates. Okay. Basically, if you could read any of the problem statements or any bank statements, they will be saying like uh, there is a nominal interest which is being compounded monthly or which will be compounded semi-annually, quarterly. Okay, there is an interest per year, but that will be compounded monthly or semi-annually or quarterly, like that. Okay, in that case, whatever the rate they mention, that may not be exactly equal to whatever the interest they mention, that may not be the exact representation of the interest when it is being compounded within the sub periods. Okay, interest rates may be stated for some period, like generally we state interest rate for a year, such as year, while the computation of interest is based on the shorter compounding sub periods such as months. We may call interest at per year, but at the end they may mention a statement like it is being compounded every month basis. Then that means they are generally applying different interest than which is being mentioned. Okay, so those terms are called as effective and nominal interest rates that you may have to understand. Okay, here, a relation between nominal interest rate that is stated for the full period, generally nominal interest rate is being stated for the full period, and the effective interest rate that results from the compounding based on the sub periods is analyzed. Now we will try to understand the relation between the interest rate which is being set for the whole period, and an interest rate which is being compounded in the sub periods. Say example, there is an interest rate of 10% per year. Next statement is it will be compounded every month. It will be compounded every month. So it means it is not the effective interest is something else than the 10%. Okay, that's what we will look into now in this discussion. Effective or nominal interest. What do you mean by this? Which is going to cost you more? Which may cost you less? That you may have to understand. Okay. How do you choose two investments? So I'm just giving you an example here. One bearing 12% per year interest, compounded yearly, okay, and another one bearing 1% per month interest compounded monthly. Are they same? There are two statements about the interest. Say there is an interest on an amount which is 12% per year. Then there is another statement which is 1% per month. Okay, 1% per month, then compounded monthly. Is it that are they same? That you may have to check. That is the issue now. Okay, so now we'll try to understand the nominal interest rate. It is the conventional, it is the general method of stating the annual interest rate, nominal interest rate. It's a conventional method. It is calculated by multiplying the interest rate per compounding period by the number of compounding periods per year. Your nominal interest rate is equals to interest rate per compounding period into number of compounding periods. Suppose that a time period is being divided into m equal sub periods. Say year is being divided into months, 12 months. Then m is equals to 12 months here. Let there be stated a nominal interest rate r for the full period. Okay, like there is a rate 12% for the whole year. By convention, for the nominal interest, your interest rate for sub period is there's a 12% per year, okay, and there's a statement like on every month there's an interest. Then what will happen to your nominal interest is your nominal interest is equals to total interest per period divided by the number of sub periods. Okay, IS. IS is equals to R divided by M. Generally, in our next statements, we have taken this as I. Okay, R and I, they are one and the same here. Let us take an example. For example, a nominal interest rate of 18% per year compounded monthly is same as 0.18 divided by 12, that is equals to 0.015 or 1.5% per month. If I have a nominal interest of 18% per year, okay, if it is being, the statement is being given as like compounded monthly, then your per month interest will be 18 divided by 12, that is 1.5% per month. Next, effective interest rate. It is the actual but not usually stated in the interest statements. It is not being stated, but it is the actual interest which is being applied. Okay, it is being calculated by converting a given interest rate with an arbitrary compounding period to an equivalent interest rate with a 1 year compounding period. Okay, I'll give you the, let us go for the derivation of this. If we compound interest every sub period, then what we will have is your f is equals to p into 1 plus is by m. Now remember, your is value is r by m. We already have this. Is is r by m. R is interest rate per year. Okay. M is the number of sub periods within an year. So what will happen to this expression? This is is supposed to be substituted by r by m. Okay, so your future value will be, it is nothing but p plus 1, p into 1 plus I raised to n. Wherever you have I, which is for year, now we are substituting with it with the sub periods, that is nominal interest, is. Raised to, here I am not taking n, because this is not I, this is is. Okay, for 1 year this m will be 12 if I take my sub periods as 12. For 2 years, my m will be 24, like that. So f is equals to p into 1 plus is raised to m. And then we want to find effective interest that is the same future amount f at the end of full period from the present amount p. Such so that now this future value p into 1 plus 1 plus is raised to m, that is also equals to p multiplied by 1 plus I raised to e. This is my effective interest. Okay, so if I could simplify this formula, I will be getting a relation for effective interest as your effective interest is equals to 1 plus is raised to m minus 1. Please remember this expression, or just try to understand how is it being derived. Your effective interest is equals to 1 plus is raised to m minus 1. Okay, Now you may understand it with some numericals, so I'm taking some numericals here. What is the annual effective interest rate equivalent to a nominal rate of 12% per year? Your nominal interest rate R or just I is 12%, and the number of corresponding periods per year M is 12. Okay, this gives you your nominal interest per month as IS is equals to R by M, 0.12 by 12, that is 0.01. Then your effective interest will be IE is equals to 1 plus IS raised to M minus 1. Now remember, M is 12. In this case, it is not 1. It is not 1 year. Okay, I am dividing 1 year into sub periods. So that is M is. So 1 plus I raised to 1 plus 0.01 raised to 12 minus 1. That is 0.1268, or this is equivalent to 12.7%. Now let's just try to understand this statement. An interest rate of 1% per month compounded monthly is equivalent to an effective rate of approximately 12.7% per year compounded yearly. So as I told you, okay, if it is being compounded in sub periods, then your effective interest will be more than the nominal rate. Please remember. Okay, your effective interest will be more than the nominal rate. So it is not 12. It is equivalent to 12.7% of the interest, which is compounded yearly. Let us take another example. A person invests a sum of rupees 5,000 in a bank at a nominal rate of 12% for 10 years. The compounding is quarterly. Find the maturity amount of the deposit after 10 years. So you are also supposed to calculate the future value here. P is rupees 5,000, N is 10 years, and I is 12% nominal interest rate. Then what is your F equals to? Okay. Now look at the statement. The compounding is quarterly done. Per year it is 12%. But your effective interest is something else than this 12%. So we'll just check how it is being calculated. Okay, I think I suggest you to go with this method too. Your number of interest periods per year, it is M. Take it as M here. C, it is not C, it is M. Quarterly, that is 1/4. In the sense now in 1 year, you will be compounding it 4 times. So your M is 4. Therefore, your effective interest IE, rather than taking it as R, take it as IE. Your IE is equals to 1 plus I by M raised to M minus 1. Okay, 1 plus I is 12 divided by 4 raised to 4 minus 1. So that is 12.55% compounded annually. So it is not 12% if it is compounded quarterly. It is equals to 12.55%, which is compounded annually. In that case, your future value will be P into 1 plus effective interest. This is not R. It is effective interest raised to N. Now N is 10 for 10 years. Okay. So substitute them, then you will be getting as rupees 16,308.91. Numerical, another numerical. A Cardex credit card company charges a nominal 24% interest on a overdue accounts compounded daily. What is the effective interest? 24% is nominal, but it is being compounded daily. Okay, so let us assume that there are 365 days per year. We can calculate the interest rate per day using either equation like we'll just go with this. My IS is R by M. Okay, R is my nominal interest, that is 0.24 divided by 365, so 0.0006575. By using this, we'll calculate the effective interest. That is, effective interest is 1 plus this R by M raised to M, and here M is 365. So if you could calculate this, your effective interest becomes 27.1. Okay, so a 24% of nominal interest is being changed to 27.1% here. With a nominal rate of 24% compounded daily, the Cardex credit card company is actually charging an effective rate of about 27.1% per year. We go with another numerical. A loan of rupees 4,50,000 is made at 9% compounded monthly in a year. So what is the nominal rate of interest and what is the effective rate of interest? He's just asking you interest rate. The nominal interest rate is 9% per year that is being given. Okay, and it is being compounded monthly. Therefore, your IS becomes R by M, where your R is 9 divided by M. M is 12 months in a year, so that will be 0.75% per month. So your nominal interest is 0.75% per month or 9% per year. Next, effective interest. We know that effective interest is equals to 1 plus IS raised to M minus 1. It is IS or R, both the same thing here now. Only IS, yeah, it's IS. So if you could substitute them, your effective interest becomes 9.3%. Now look at the statement. Okay, he says 9% compounded monthly, but actually they will be applying the 9.3%. An interest rate of 0.75% per month compounded monthly is equivalent to an effective rate of 9.3% per year compounded annually. Take another numerical. A person invests a sum of rupees 10,000 in a bank at a nominal interest rate of 10% for 10 years. The compounding is quarterly. Find the maturity amount of the deposit after 10 years. Your P is 10,000, M is 10 years, interest rate is 10%, that is nominal interest rate per year. Next, it's being compounded quarterly, so your number of interest periods per year will be 4. This is M. M is equals to 4. Okay. Therefore, your effective interest rate is 1 plus I. I is 10 divided by quarterly. That is M is equals to 4. Raised to 4 minus 1. So that becomes 10.38%. Okay. So effective interest rate is 10.38%. Later, your future value is equals to P into 1 plus effective interest raised to N. So your F becomes, the future value becomes 26,847.50.